Altos is brought to you with the kind compliments of Rituals Coffee House.
Good evening and welcome to Altos, a weekly news and current affairs program produced by the Catholic News and broadcast here on Trinity TV and TTT. I'm your host Neil Parsonlal and have a happy independence everyone. Our top stories this week: an outpouring of love as hundreds turn out at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception in Port of Spain to bid farewell to Msgr Kenneth Spence, who died last Thursday. Optimism and hope as Trinidad and Tobago celebrates 63 years of independence. The First Peoples joined the RC Church in celebrating the feast day of Santa Rosa de Lima. Archbishop Emeritus Robert Rivas reflects on the legacy of the saint. And later, Abbot John Pereira joins us as we discuss 63 years as an independent nation. And now for our top story. Catholics from across Trinidad and Tobago came out to pay their final respect to Msgr Kenneth Spence, who died as he celebrated Mass on August 21st. He was 73. Editor Raymond Sims was there at the funeral on Thursday and submitted this report.
So tell St. Peter I'll be there.
The mood at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception was somber yet celebratory, as the church in the Archdiocese of Port of Spain said goodbye to a priest who was remembered for his sense of humor and down-to-earth nature. The music of Slinger Francisco, the Mighty Sparrow, blared through the cathedral's audio system before and at the end of the liturgy. It was played because Msgr Spence always noted to family and friends that he shared the same birth date as the veteran Calypsonian, July 9th. After the reception of the body by Chief Celebrant Archbishop Emeritus Robert Rivas, tributes were paid by friend and family. Before the tributes, a message from Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon, who is on pilgrimage in Greece, was read out by Vicar General Father Martin Sergiu. Father Sergiu was a homilist and spoke of his friend Kenny as someone who was holy, kind, and embodied mercy.
And I remember Pope Francis repeatedly saying that we look upon mercy as a noun, it's a word. And Pope Francis said, mercy is not a word, mercy is a verb. Mercy is what you practice, mercy is what you are. And that is what Kenny was in the sacrament of reconciliation. Kenny, my dear friends, was an embodiment of God's mercy, and he helped many people along the way with that mercy, with that tenderness in confession.
He ended the homily on a humorous note as he raised a toast to his friend.
I do not wish that you rest in peace, but I wish rather that you enjoy light, joy, laughter, celebration around God's banquet table in heaven. And to him I say, cheers. His water, eh?
The final commendation was conducted by both Archbishop Rivas and Father Sergiu, as a large turnout of clergy formed an honor guard as the coffin was taken to the hearse. Many filed past the coffin for a final look as one of Sparrow's popular songs was played. I'm Raymond Sims for Catholic News Altos. Farewell, Msgr Spence.
Msgr Kenneth Spence has been remembered as a man who took his life of holiness seriously, a man who loved to eat, especially chocolate and sweet things, a man who loved to read and who knew how to enjoy the things of life. These reflections on Msgr Spence's life were shared by his friend, Vicar General Father Martin Sergiu, at a memorial mass last Friday evening at the St. Joseph RC Church in Mon Repos, San Fernando, one day after Msgr Spence died. Roger Sant has more in this report.
I mean no disrespect, but pardon me if I refer to your former parish priest as Kenny.
Delivering the homily at a mass on the day the church celebrated the Queenship of the Blessed Virgin Mary, Vicar General Father Martin Sergiu paid tribute to Msgr Kenneth Spence, who passed away on Thursday, August 21st. Father Sergiu boasted of the holiness of Msgr Spence, who he said structured his life of holiness on 4 things: the Mass, the Divine Office, Confession, and the Rosary.
And these 4 things constituted his life of faith and how he expressed his love for God.
Father Spence, he said, did not just pray the day's decade of the Rosary, but he prayed all 4 decades more than once a day. He loved the Benedictine monks and Mother Mary. Despite his holiness, Father Sergiu described Father Spence as a very practical man, one who he went to for confession, and depending on the nature of the confession, he would send him inspirational messages.
He said, sometimes making a decision means to come to the realization that some people are part of your history, but not part of your destiny.
As for Father Spence's life of prayer, he said he was always grateful for life.
I pray because I believe in the power of prayer. I pray because I have no doubt that God has answered my prayers.
Father Spence, he said, was a man who enjoyed a good novel, had a lyrical way of speaking, loved his mother Hilda, and always wanted her to be happy. He was a man who generally enjoyed life.
He wasn't flat by accident. Okay? He loved to eat, he loved to drink, he loved chocolate, he loved stealing, he loved cheesecake, all these different things.
I'm Roger Sant reporting for Catholic News Altos.
Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon is on pilgrimage, where he's been walking the footsteps of St. Paul to, among other places, Corinth, Crete, Patmos, and Delphi. One of the stops on the pilgrimage was to the Rock of Democracy in Athens, where in the old days, citizens gathered to decide on matters great and small, where His Grace says thinkers like Plato and Aristotle shaped ideas of governance. And in a message that is important for us as Trinidad and Tobago celebrates its 63rd anniversary as an independent nation, His Grace reminds us that true democracy calls for an ongoing dialogue with the people.
What is intriguing in that Rock of Democracy is that all ideas of all importance went back to the people. We think of democracy as once every 5 years or once every 4 years, you ask the people to vote for you. In ancient Athens, which is the heart of democracy, where Plato and Aristotle really debated upon the nature of democracy, it was a constant ask of the people what they wanted in every major decision. Democracy then is very different from democracy now.
There was a full house at the Santa Rosa RC Church in Lima on Sunday, August 24th, as the church, in collaboration with the Santa Rosa First Peoples community, celebrated the annual feast day of Santa Rosa de Lima. Archbishop Emeritus Robert Rivas used his homily to speak of the inspiring legacy of the first canonized saint of Latin America and the Caribbean. Here's our correspondent, Clisha Best, with more.
A vibrant congregation, Archbishop Robert Rivas reflected on the significance of Santa Rosa's life, describing her as a woman of the Word who found her greatest treasure in Jesus Christ. He drew parallels between Santa Rosa's journey from Peru to Arima, stating that faith was the guiding GPS that led missionaries and First Peoples alike to this land. He expressed hope that the community, like Santa Rosa de Lima, would continue to walk in faith with joy and purpose.
We need courage to persevere in our faith and to give prophetic witness to what we believe. Without courage, we cannot face the challenges of our faith. Be courageous and encourage one another in the faith. We also need compassionate hearts to meet the needs of those around us.
Peru's ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Claudia Bataliluz, also acknowledged the cultural richness of the Santa Rosa Festival and the legacy of Santa Rosa.
The devotion to St. Rose is not only a spiritual bond, but also a living legacy to the enduring values that inspire us to work together in fraternity and peace. May the example of St. Rose guide our communities in building a more just and compassionate world. And may her intercession continue to bless the peoples of Trinidad and Tobago, of Peru, and of all nations gathered under her patronage.
Chief Ricardo Hernandez of the Santa Rosa First Peoples noted that this was the 239th anniversary of the Santa Rosa Festival.
Imagine there isn't another place in Trinidad and Tobago that can boast of a spiritual or religious secular festival as us here in Arima. And although in its former days the glory of this celebration was different to what it is today, nevertheless we continue to struggle to upkeep it. So we have a gem, as we heard in Arima. It is only for us to take it out again, polish it, shine it, and make it shine.
I am Clysha Best for Catholic News, Altos.
The July-August vacation break is traditionally when more extensive repairs and refurbishments are conducted by the state at primary and secondary schools. Through collaboration and fundraising, RC schools embarked on upgrades and repairs. Laura Pickford Gordon tells us how corporate TNT, students, communities, the United States Embassy and the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force have been assisting in this venture.
Public bank staff got together with students of the Presentation College Interact Club and Matlock Community College last Saturday to do some much-needed upgrades. Adults and students worked side by side to repaint the food and nutrition and computer labs and the main corridor of the Matlock Community College. Republic Bank also donated 2 stoves, a deep freezer, and 6 laptops. At Presentation College San Fernando, funding through the Past Students Association and the college's mega 3-car raffle enabled almost $1 million in improvements. This included repainting and changing the roof of the Benedictine block, which houses Forms 1 and 2 classes. The staff room and lounge were also refurbished. The junior and senior chemistry labs and construction of a retaining wall and fence were also undertaken. Support and guidance from the Catholic Education Board of Management facilitated repairs at Malabar RC, St. Gabriel's Girls RC, and St. Francis College. From August 6 to 9, the U.S. Embassy Civil Engineering Unit, in collaboration with the TNT Defense Force, executed a comprehensive inspection of Lochbaben RC School's electrical systems, replacing the main panel and 2 sub-panels. Plumbing teams installed new water pumps and assessed the new cistern and plumbing infrastructure for possible long-term repairs. Reinforcement of corroded handrails and general repairs to walls and other areas were conducted. I am Laura Pickford Gordon for Catholic News, Altos.
And schools reopen next week, Monday, September 8th. On August 31st, Trinidad and Tobago will celebrate 63 years as an independent nation, an event that marked the end of colonial rule. To borrow a line from Lord Funny, 63 years have gone. How you feel? Well, Laura Pickford Gordon spoke to a few nationals to get their views.
Trinidad and Tobago this year celebrates 63 years of independence. 63 years ago, our first Prime Minister, Dr. Eric Williams, urged us that we would have to work harder as a people than in the past. He also hoped that the words discipline, production, and tolerance would guide us as we move towards the future. How far have we come in 63 years?
I feel a lot of optimism. I feel as though we have had the chance to go to elections a number of times, and we have peaceful elections in this country. It's a very complex society we live in. 1.4 billion people of so many races, so many colors, so many backgrounds, so many religions. And yes, it's, sometimes you have to look and ask yourself, how does this survive relative to so many other countries? And I think we've done well in that regard. We've actually shown the rest of the world that people can coexist, by and large, in a peaceful manner.
Haddad believes that freedom of expression through culture is a visible sign of our nationhood.
We feel empowered to come out and say this is who we are too, in our food, in us as a people, in our sports people, in many touch points, in our cultures, subcultures. And yeah, it's complex sometimes because everyone is jostling for a position. That's okay.
Dr. Hollis Liverpool, educator, historian, and calypsonian, shared with Altos what independence means to him.
If you want to be independent, first thing you must put God first. And after that, you must look at your African traditions and your African culture traits and your regional traditions and accept them and frame them and live as we lived under Emancipation days. We lived to get back our birthright from Europe and to frame our own laws and live according to our own thinking.
Citizen Tisha Linton shared a little about what she feels can be done to make things better.
There are one or two things that could be improved here and there in terms of poverty, honestly speaking, and some stuff that the government don't take into consideration people less fortunate for sickness and people that don't have money, to be honest. Something that I really, really would like to see, that everybody treated equally.
And Bernadette Burke, chef and entrepreneur, believes all is not lost.
For me, independence means pride in how far we have come and our commitment to the work still ahead so that future generations inherit an even stronger Trinidad and Tobago. Happy independence, Trinidad and Tobago.
This is Nara Pickford Gordon for Catholic News, Altos.
It's time now for us to take a short break, and when we return, we speak with the Abbot of Mount St. Benedict, Abbot John Pereira, on independence and things independent. Stay with us. Thanks very much for staying with us. 63 years ago, Trinidad and Tobago hoisted the red, white and black for the first time, signaling the start of our independence journey. 63 years later, we have on set with us the Abbot of Mount St. Benedict, Abbot John. Welcome to the set.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
63 years, Abbot. How you feel?
I feel good and I feel bad. Mm-hmm. You know, there are two senses.
Yeah.
You know, you feel that we have a way forward. Independence really has to do with how we assert ourselves and the fact that we are more and more less dependent on others. And that could be a bit frightful because in the world, which is now a global village, it is a dangerous path to walk if you put yourself first, as some countries do, and you pay no reference to the other nations, what they have to offer.
Right.
So I think even in the context of independence, we must always be open to the gifts that we can share, that we can offer, and that we can receive. You know, before the independence, we had the failure of the federation, based on the political mathematics of Dr. Williams.
1 from 10.
Once Jamaica pulled out, 1 from 10 left 0. And in the Caribbean, even in the much touted game of cricket, where we're supposed to be together as one, there are often tensions. And amongst our small islands, each one asserting its own independence, we could be a little parochial in our approach to life. So we must never sacrifice that openness to the wider in the quest to be alone and independent.
So you said there was good and there was bad. As we look around Trinidad and Tobago today, there's the issue of crime and criminality, the issue, you know, of the state of our young people. What are some of the things that you think we could have done better, perhaps, over the last 63 years?
I think it has to do with nurturing, with mentoring, the way in which the seeds grow, the type of soil in which the seeds of our children grow. So I think we do have to spend a lot of time. You know, it's one thing to bring a child into the world, but a child without direction or proper direction could be left independent as an individual and astray. So we need that family support. even in a wider context, not merely in the family circle, but in the school, in the community, in the parish, you know. And I think one of the things that maybe we may have lacked is that nurturing dimension, that presence to these new offspring that we offer the world, you know.
Do you think that we've concentrated so much on our, based on what you said, on our independence, that we've forgotten or not given sufficient attention to our interdependence?
Yes. Yes. So independence could be a dangerous word. It could be a wonderful word. But as I said, no man is an island. We are all interconnected, and we need to, you know, sometimes we give our children so much freedom, so they have that taste of independence, but they don't have the substance to use the independence in a way that would sustain them and help them to grow.
About the Mount St. Benedict, the monastery, the environment of the Mount has been home and really a place where the entire Trinidad and Tobago find solace. Black, white, rich, poor, whatever the religion. And the Mount represents, for quite a lot of people, a microcosm of the wider society that is Trinidad and Tobago. How do you think, or what role do you think the monastery, the Mount as people call it, has played in nurturing that sense of being Trinidadian and what being independent is all about?
Well, one of the vows that the monks at Mount St. Benedict take is the vow of stability. And that is not just a spiritual vow, but it has practical implications. That once you take a vow of stability, and the monastery as a whole has taken a vow of stability, we are rooted in a particular place, in a particular culture, in a particular geography, in a particular history. So we are rooted there, regardless of where you are born. Once you enter into the monastery and you take the vow of stability, you become part and parcel of the earth, the culture, the place. So when people visit the monastery, they feel a sense of welcome, and that has sustained. We have had it from all the races, you know. We have many chronicles of very large pilgrimages of persons of East Indian descent after they came here through indentureship, looking for a place to find welcome, a place to root their own spirituality, and to such an extent that the superior at the time, the abbot founder, had made one of his monks take up Hindi so that he could communicate, you know, with the indentured laborers in their own language at the time, because many of them couldn't speak English. We have the whole host of Africans who continue to come to the monastery, where they find a sense of rootedness and a place where they feel welcome. And hospitality has been a key to the monastic spirituality, where we are welcome to all.
Bishop, Abbot, sorry, perhaps I hope I'm prophetic. Today, this year's celebrations, we don't have a parade, but we have a day of reflection, a day of prayer. One prayer for the nation, what would that be from you?
Well, I will go back to the prophet Micah, chapter 6, verse 8, where he says, "You have been told, man, what the Lord wants. To act justly, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with your God." My prayer for the nation on this particular time would be for us to rediscover the quality of humility, both within and as a nation.
I think that's a good place for us to end today. Abbot, we wish you and the monks all the best for independence, another 63 years perhaps with us. And we know that the monastery has been that place. It's the Abbey of Exile, is it?
The Abbey of Our Lady of Exile.
Our Lady of Exile, the place where so many find comfort, and it truly is a symbol of our independence here in Trinidad, where every creed and race certainly find an equal place on the Mount. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for hosting.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In this Sunday's issue of the Catholic News, do not despair about the issues the nation faces. Read why in the editorial. Renee Smith, digital team lead at Catholic Media Services Limited, reflects on the gift of Catholic friendships. Retired educator Dr. Hollis Liverpool, known in the Calypso world as Chalk Dust, shares his opinion on the question, what independence means to me. Economist Dr. Marlene Atz writes that citizens should see the occasion as a continuous journey of emancipation, responsibility, and renewal. And Father Stephen Alexander describes independence as an ongoing struggle for true justice. Read the Catholic Commission for Social Justice column. Here are the clergy anniversaries for the coming week. And an upcoming event. I am Raymond Sims, editor of the Catholic News. Happy Independence Day.
Thanks for staying with us. In a bold and joyful act of evangelization, over 50 young Catholics from across Trinidad gathered for Proclaim, a youth-led initiative that took them from church pews to the hilltops and finally to an encounter with the elderly. Andrew Burton followed their journey.
It began at St. John the Baptist RC Church. The Office of Youth Ministry brought together musicians and vocalists to rehearse and record a Jubilee anthem.
The musicians, most of them came from Tortuga Parish, then a lot of Maxi came from Lavantil Parish, right? And I think we had from Saparia, Sandy Grande, and all over. If I mess up anybody, just stone me, of course. I just pointed out who I saw and I know.
A total of 19 parishes were represented, including youth from every vicariate in the Archdiocese, united by song and service.
One more time, let's go for the top.
After recording at the church, the group performed at the Mount St. Benedict Sports Field, then sang and danced their way uphill to St. Peter's Home for the Aged, undaunted by the threat of rain. It was the performance at St. Peter's Home that made it all worth it.
And the elders just so like you could tell that they appreciate our efforts coming to sing and sing for them. So that was like the highlight to me. That was special.
For many young people, Proclaim felt like more than just a project. It was a spiritual gift.
Today was a really beautiful and Holy Spirit-filled day. We got to meet, interact, learn new faces, new names, and just hearing the merging of these beautiful voices and instruments. It was a beautiful experience. This was a 10 out of 10 day.
I am Andrew Burton, reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
Beautiful way to end our show this week. As we wrap, we thank you very much for viewing. This Independence Weekend, we continue to urge you to pray for Trinidad and Tobago, to read your Bible and to learn your faith. As we go, we leave you with images of buildings decorated in national colors as we mark our 63rd anniversary as an independent nation. Happy Independence, everyone. Do have a safe weekend.
Altos was brought to you with the kind compliments of Rituals Coffee House.